looking smarter than ever, JC Penni. You're looking smarter than ever, JC Penni.
I did it again.
I did it again.
Oops, I did it. So, last year we started off the week 1 podcast with, it was like 20 to 30 minutes of like 20 minutes, like stuff we recorded. Like we got into a big thing, and then we realized, oh, I didn't hit record. This time it was different. It wasn't my fault in that sense. I tried a new software, it didn't work. But this time we recorded an hour's worth of content, only to have it basically be a shambling mess of unrecoverable stuff. So we're doing it all over again. What's up, guys? Season 12. Where's season 12, right? Season 12.
I think so.
But season 2 of our podcast, the post-draft pre-week 1 podcast. We're going to talk about top 3, bottom 3, biggest steal, biggest reach, biggest risk, biggest loss, and our week 1 predictions. We talked about a lot of the... Basically, we went through about every team.
Yeah, we got pretty far in there.
Beforehand, so we'll do it again, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more streamlined for you guys. So let's jump right into the top 3 again, and I'm going to start with the kind of...
I think my top 3 is going to be a little bit more decisive this time, though.
Yeah,
I was being wishy-washy.
You were like... And to be fair, I had like a top 2, and then a 2 people fighting for the 3rd spot kind of thing. We do disagree a good bit. There is a slap bet coming. I'll warn you, our 5th slap bet of the season. You forgot about that, didn't you?
No, I'm ready for the slap bet. We can open with the slap bet if you want.
No, we'll let it come organically. So, I was just thinking that scene come organically. I was thinking of that scene from It's Always Sunny where Rickety Cricket says, "Well, sometimes you don't fake it, and things just end naturally." Anyway, he's talking about having a dog having sex with him. Anyway, so great episode. It's actually the podcasting episode. It's Always Sunny. I'm getting on a tangent. The top 3, my first pick would, and I this is kind of a full circle. Last season, I'm closing this door. You picked me in the top 3, and I thought that was a very kind gesture. And so I'm returning the favor in kind this season, largely because I just genuinely, aside from tight end, I genuinely think you have one of the best starting lineups in our league right now. Zeke is a great pick at 3. I'm fine with either Kamara or Zeke there, and I think Zeke is probably safer. Eckler is great value where you got
Alvin Kamara's in the middle of a holdout right now too, right?
Yeah, I mean that's true.
He hasn't practiced in 3 days, like they're trying to figure out a deal for him.
That's true, but I have to feel like something's getting done. Although if not, we'll talk about Latavius Murray later.
We will talk about that later. We didn't mention this part in the first half. So
we didn't. That's
something I just remembered when I was riding here that I saw. So,
but Zeke, Eckler's great where you got him. Miles Sanders.
I think Eckler's amazing where I got. I can't he was the number 5 running back last year, and that was with half the season splitting time with Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, well, and especially that he didn't I'm surprised he didn't go at some point in round 2.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thrilled that I was able to get him there. I did not expect that.
I know you were not, of all your picks, I think you weren't happy from what you said with the Miles Sanders pick, but I really don't hate it.
I don't hate it. Just in retrospect, there's multiple players that I'm kind of like, I wish I had taken instead.
Sure, but you clean it up. Adam Thielen, Calvin Ridley are both solid. Where you got them. I'm big on Calvin Ridley this year. Keenan Allen's a great pick as your 3rd wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean he has wide receiver 1 upside, and I got him as my 3rd in the 6th round.
Yeah,
I like how the first 5 of my first 6 picks went. I like that.
I think your first 6 picks are great, and Russell Wilson in the 7th is also a very fine pick where you got him. I think that's where you see like Dak and Deshaun went, but Russell Wilson could outperform both.
That's what I expect. I was bigger on him, so I'm kind of glad I got him.
And you have Aaron Rodgers as your backup, which is never a bad thing. For a 14th rounder.
Seems a little weird, but that's the case.
The only thing that I don't think you have a very deep bench. It's serviceable, but it's not very deep. But who does in this kind of a 10-team league where people are picking people? The only thing is the big question mark for you, obviously, in my opinion, is 2 question marks. 1, you have a bunch of wide receiver 2s. You don't really have a wide receiver 1 because you picked 3 running backs early.
Yeah.
And 2, you've got tight end question marks.
Yeah. Like I said, Gronk in the 11th round. Like I said, if he's 75% of what he used to be, which maybe that's overestimating by a lot, but if he is 75% of what he used to be, he's going to be a steal in the 11th.
Right. And an 11th round pick doesn't hurt as badly. It's just, if he's not, then you're left with hoping that Jack Doyle becomes something. Otherwise, you're going to have to figure out, you're going to be streaming tight ends, you're going to have to figure out a trade.
Yeah.
But the thing about tight end is it's such a, and we didn't talk about this much, but it's such a top-heavy position, it feels like, most years.
And, I mean, I also had back-to-back situations where I was trying to take a tight end and people just fucked me on it. So,
yeah,
I mean, I was going to take either George Kittle or Travis Kelce, but when Austin Eckler fell to me in the second, I felt like I had to take him, and both Kittle and Kelce go back-to-back, because fuck Window and Zach. Like, they were just trying to fuck with me. And I'm trying to think, who else... I know there was one other tight end situation. I'm always like getting confused on the way this thing wraps. I think like also when I took Calvin Ridley in the 5th, I thought maybe Mark Andrews might be there when it comes back around. But no, Mark Andrews and Zach Ertz and Darren Waller all go off the board in that stretch. Like, it is what it is. Like, and I've never been someone to go big on tight end early. This was going to be the first year I was ever comfortable doing it.
Right.
And you guys saved me from it because you left Austin Eckler out there in the end of the second round.
So I'm not here drafting 3 tight ends. So yeah, you're in my top 3.
I appreciate that.
Fuck off.
Excuse me. See, I was really, really wishy-washy, and we got into this a whole lot, but like my first pick on this is simply going, and I know we're going to have a big conversation about this later on, about the depth of his team, but I think that Window is the only one in the first 3 rounds who didn't miss on any pick. I think everyone made a mistake in the first 3 rounds, except for Window. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Tyreek Hill could all very easily be 20 points a game players. And then all you kind of need, tons of upside, and all you really need from the rest of your team is like 10 to 15 points, which usually you're expecting 20 out of your quarterback, which his quarterback situation is not great. We've already had...
Putting it mildly.
I know. I don't love Tyler Lockett and Courtland Sutton that much, but Devin Singletary and Cam Akers are also going to be the number 1 running backs on their team. Latavius Murray might get extra touches if Alvin Kamara sits out at all. I think that Window's team can be there for the first time as long as he doesn't do anything too crazy during the regular season. Because here's the thing, a major mistake he made last year is he started just trading away players because he felt like he needed to shake things up. Window, I'm helping you out here. I'm throwing you a bone.
I moved the camera just for this moment.
Do not trade, anymore, because you should have already traded away Christian McCaffrey, but that's a different conversation. Do not trade Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill unless you know for a fact you are getting the winning side of it. They have too much upside potential. Just don't do it. So yeah, long story short, there are question marks throughout Windows roster, but his top 3, I think he completely nailed, and they could propel him into the playoffs.
I have no disagreement that Window crushed his first 3 picks. As well he should. It's Christian McCaffrey at 1. Let's not give too much credit to picking Christian McCaffrey 1 overall. There's a door there. You didn't walk into the wall. Way to go, champ.
All right, look, here's the thing. My whole point here is that everyone made a mistake in the top 3 rounds, except for Window. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, number 1, he picks Christian McCaffrey. He did it.
If he makes a mistake there, he's a fucking idiot.
I understand. Well, he did make a mistake, though, because he didn't trade him away like he should have.
Exactly. So he's already making mistakes.
But no, when you're talking about drafting these picks, everyone else made a mistake. Okay?
He nailed,
there are things that should have been obvious that people didn't do.
He nailed the 2-3 turn. I don't disagree. But the rest of his team...
Honestly, it's hard not for him to nail it there. Who the fuck else is he taking in the 2-3 turn? Maybe Travis Kelce.
Maybe
we're
Kelce.
We're not going to be saying that he messed it up if he took Kelce instead of Kittle.
No.
But no, like outside of no. Don't get me wrong.
I'm
not saying Window did some genius maneuvering in the draft that made it that his team looked so good. I'm saying he nailed the first 3 picks. Everyone else made mistakes in the first 3 picks.
I wouldn't have hated also instead of... I mean, Hill... If the only person I would say he could take a wide receiver aside from Hill is maybe Juju.
But Tyreek Hill has that up
better.
Number 1. No.
I think he
was number 1 wide receiver.
I'm not disagreeing. What I'm saying is the rest of his draft is suspect. Courtland
I'm
Sutton
not saying it's
and
not.
Tyler,
I'm saying I think he could be top 3.
Let me get we listen. We didn't get it out on here. Let me get it out on here. I want to get it out on here. Courtland Sutton and Tyler Lockett at the 4-5 turn when Calvin Ridley and Terry McLaurin are available, and even Stephon Diggs, that's a bad pick. Those are both not great. I mean, Tyler Lockett, maybe you can justify. Courtland Sutton, I don't get it all. Drew Lock is his quarterback. People are big on the lock train this year. I don't buy Courtland Sutton as a 4th round pick. Devin Singletary and Cam Akers, again, not terrible. I wouldn't have done it. I would have probably drafted Kareem Hunt there. But Not going to knock it when you need an RB2. That's where you're hurting the most. And I don't, like I said, I don't mind if you pick one of the two of them, but you're counting on window through the course of a season to say out of Courtland Sutton, Tyler Lockett, Devin Singletary, Cam Akers, Henry Ruggs, Latavius Murray, McCole Hardman, Chase Edmonds, he's going to have to pick a starting running back, a starting wide receiver, and a flex week in and week out. Window, who, in all due respect, hasn't made the playoffs yet. Now, he's only been in the league a little while.
With no due respect, you haven't made the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, you're betting on Window as a top 3 team. He's going to have to make the right selections week in and week out.
First of all, I'm not betting on Window being a top 3 team. I'm saying I think that he can be in the top 3. That's not some... I'm not bet... we're not making a slap bet over whether or not Window makes the top 3.
Yeah, you're not an idiot.
I'm not making a slap bet. I'm saying with those top 3, it could propel him into the playoffs. Part of what I've learned up for grabs once you're there.
In 11 seasons of fantasy football is I'm playing the veteran card right there. Part of what I've learned is it's really important to, in my opinion, to minimize your chance of fucking things up. I love to have the decision taken away from me. Give me a guy I can't justify benching. Give me Derrick Henry so I know I can't fuck that up. On my roster...
I'm a little surprised that you went Derrick Henry over Aaron Jones there, actually.
Derrick Henry was the number 3 running back in fantasy. I get he doesn't get the catches that are important in a PPR, in a half-point PPR league, but their roster is essentially the same. There's no drastic changes. Aaron Rodgers isn't a year older. Ryan Tannehill is fine in Tennessee. He's actually a surprisingly good quarterback. I said it in Miami all along. They just didn't give him an offensive line that bought him more than 3 seconds. So he didn't have a chance to get through a progression. The bottom line is, my roster, and I don't love my team. I'm not saying I'm top 3 because I don't think I am. But Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, Kenny Golladay, OBJ, and Zach Ertz are guys I'm probably starting week in, week out. Which means, and Dak Prescott, same thing, aside from plug and plays. Which means I'm only really dealing with an RB2 spot, maybe a flex if I need to, right? So, there's less chance I'm going to fuck something up because I hate that. Nothing, gets under your skin
You would rather... not lose than win.
Yeah! Yeah!
You'd rather tie.
I
What
play not to lose this game. Because you don't understand how painful it is to lose in a fantasy football championship and have the trophy sitting in your home.
It feels like.
I'm going to go get the trophy at some point during this podcast. I got it downstairs.
I'm taking it home with me.
The fuck you are. Listen, if James isn't
Why
here...
the fuck didn't James take it with him?
He's an idiot. But Ashley's out of town since Wednesday. I've been sleeping with the trophy every night. It's just weird. I know. Anyway, so yeah, Window is in his top 3, and what have we gotten through now? Window's in his top 3. I put you in my top 3.
Yep.
I'm gonna have another I'm gonna follow your hot take of Window actually making the playoffs with my hot take of a team making the playoffs that is the worst team in our league, Jason McMillan.
Oh, okay. You mean historically?
Well, no, and currently, he's the Sacco.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because he fucking sucks, and he's terrible. He is arguably maybe the worst player in league history. He is the, Cleveland Browns, the factory of sadness of our league. But he drafted a good team. Alvin Kamara at 5 is great. I would have thought Dalvin Cook might find his way there. Honestly, in mocks, I was getting Dalvin Cook sometimes because of the contract issues and because... Again, it's a high floor, and he's a great player, but I don't know that I would have drafted him at 4th overall. So for James to take him there and Kamara to fall to 5, I know Kamara's got his own.
Now there's the own thing, but so I will say that I think it's weird because the result ended up being the same, but I just would I'd have felt better about his draft if he had gotten James Conner in the 3rd and then Patrick Mahomes in the 4th.
Yeah,
it's it worked out. No, he got a steal. I feel like he got a steal in James Conner in the 4th.
Oh yeah,
and it made up for the fact that I think he overreached for Patrick Mahomes in the 3rd.
Yeah,
I mean we're gonna get into the other conversation about reaches later, but overall, like I said, I know you're a little higher on Terry McLaurin than I am.
Big on Terry McLaurin this year.
I think Darren Waller in the 6 is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like everybody's team, once you kind of get past the 8th round, it's kind of like a...
No,
So
I disagree. I think he had one of the stronger late rounds, like especially in the mid round area. Like I don't have a lot of shares of DeAndre Swift, but Tyler Boyd and Deontay Johnson could very well. They're in my opinion, like the exact kind of wide receivers you want to be drafting in the mid rounds. Guys they're both wide receiver 2. I know you don't have a lot of shares of the Bengals right now, but there are guys who are wide receiver 2s on their team with tremendous upside, like wide receiver 1 upside. Tyler Boyd was a serviceable flex option all year last year. Ask Alex, who made the semifinals. And Deontay Johnson is a wide receiver 2 on a Pittsburgh team that's going to get Ben Roethlisberger back and is going to throw the ball. It's not just going to be Juju that benefits from that. We know that Ben Roethlisberger can support 2 fantasy-relevant wide receivers. McMillan has 4 starting wide receivers on his roster, at least 2 good running backs, Patrick Mahomes, and then a tight end combination of Darren Waller and Hunter Henry. He has a good roster, and it pains me to say that because he has been the bye week for so long. This is like when the Browns got OBJ and Jarvis Landry. He actually has some weapons that he could use to make the playoffs if he doesn't have Freddie Kitchens fucking it up.
I will say that I think McMillan has had a little bit of bad luck since his championship. A little bit of bad luck. I mean, David Johnson breaking his wrist and not playing, his number 1 overall pick, breaking his wrist, not playing for the rest of the season. That didn't help that year. He also ran into the problem where, he trades away, like, literally Zeke's in the middle of the whole suspension situation. He trades him away, and then immediately he comes back to play. Like, he's gotten a little unlucky. It's like when you're sitting here thinking, okay, Zeke's not going to play for the next 10 weeks, I need to do something, and you trade him away, and it's like, oh, never mind, court case worked it out, he's playing again.
You know what Browns fans say every year? Man, we got unlucky.
I'm not saying that he always gets unlucky. I'm saying that there's definitely his mistakes that McMillan has made. Like last year when he traded away, I mean, I'm not going to get into trades for McMillan last year. We all know how I feel about those type of things. I didn't have McMillan in my bottom 3. I didn't have him in my top 3. His roster is what it is. Like I said,
he's in my top 3, though.
I understand that. I can understand why you say that.
Yeah, he's got a great roster. I'm honestly, for the first time in a long time, scared to play McMillan. So, that's 2 of my top 3. But we only have 1 of yours so far.
Yeah, so we, obviously, when we went through this the first time, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and, beat my own drum here and talk about myself. Like, yes, I like my team. I'm obviously going to think I'm in the top 3, duh. But moving on from that, a team that I feel like because they made one of the bigger reaches, I don't hate Jason Smith's team. I love that he got Cooper Kupp in the 4th round. Like I said, if Miles Sanders.
That's Daryl Nick.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry. Those are my 2 splits that I was talking about.
Yep.
So let me go back to Jason real quick. I like Aaron Jones. Lamar Jackson was a reach, but he does have 2 number 1 wide receivers coming back to back. Melvin Gordon's gonna be the starter there. Mark Ingram's gonna be the starter there. How he reached for Lamar Jackson and still ended up with 2 number 1 wide receivers and 3 number 1 running backs, 2 number 1 wide receivers, and then Jarvis Landry, who's arguably the best number 2 wide receiver in the league. He actually kind of crushed his I still don't understand because he could have gotten Lamar Jackson in round 6, but no, he is. I think that he right now, if you look at that roster, are you not saying that he just has what you were saying, minimizing the decisions? He's going to start Aaron Jones every week. He's going to start Melvin Gordon every week. He's going to start Amari Cooper. He's going to start Mike Evans. The only question I think he's going to have is, okay, do I play Jarvis Landry or Mark Ingram in the flex? That's a really good problem to have.
You're not wrong.
I don't hate despite the fact that I don't know what the fuck he was doing in the 2nd round.
The more
his team actually looks, and Evan Ingram, if he's healthy, huge upside tight end.
What's funny is the more you talk. I actually had Zach and Jason as my, they were fighting it out for the 3rd spot in my top 3. The more you talk, the more I look at Jason's roster, I'm going to give the nod to him because of a lot of the reasons you said. I'm not so big on Melvin Gordon only because I like Melvin Gordon.
He's going to split with Phillip Lindsay
He's
still.
Splitting with Phillip Lindsay. But Mark Ingram
is the number 1 guy.
And people forget Mark Ingram was an RB1 last year. He was a top 10 running back. And Lamar Jackson is a huge reach at 13, by the way. But
ridiculous.
Somehow the 8 spot was sweet to him, and again, like you said,
comes back around
Amari
and he gets
Cooper,
Amari
Mike
Cooper and Mike
Evans,
Evans.
Jarvis Landry are exactly who you want as your top 3 receivers. And Aaron Jones, Melvin Gordon, Mark Ingram are guys who you will find with top 3. He's even got Marlon Mack and Tariq Cohen late, who are serviceable. Marlon Mack's the starter right now. I don't think he'll be the starter at the end of the season, but he's the starter right now.
The only thing that I will say that he's going to have to do, he's going to have to go pick up a backup quarterback. There's too many bench spots. There's too much
what
risk.
happens
if Lamar Jackson goes down, like you got
to COVID?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to need to figure. I'm a little surprised he didn't take a second quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't either. I'm going to have to get someone, but I just wanted to get my handcuffs for the time being in case something goes sideways.
Yeah.
So one of the other big factors here is on his team, though, is in my opinion that we didn't talk about is Evan Ingram. The fact Evan Ingram is from a statistical analysis is one of the most efficient tight ends in fantasy when he's healthy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So to get him in what round? 8th
round.
Like
solid,
fantastic. I have him above Darren Waller in a lot of ways, and McMillan spent a 6th round pick on Waller. Like Evan Ingram could be a huge steal come into season.
Despite his terrible second round, which is like I said, everyone made a mistake in the first 2 rounds. His mistake was Lamar Jackson.
And it worked out. He's the best quarterback in football.
He's got the best fantasy quarterback, and I like his team.
Yeah, I would say he's in my top 3.
So
that's
again,
right. Is that our consensus top 3 right now? That's the only one we agreed on.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna like I said. If I'm not
you.
counting myself when voting for teams that I think could be there, my third team that I throw back into there, and I said I'm annoyed with it because there's no fucking prep. Nick wasn't there, but I don't hate Daryl's team. I think we can get into the conversation about Nick Chubb and the issues that arise with that.
We're gonna do that,
and there's gonna be, but I like his first overall pick. Kansas City's offense is just too good, and he's an every down back. I absolutely love Cooper Kupp in the 4th round.
You are a huge Cooper Kupp fan.
I cannot understate how much I like Cooper Kupp here. I traded him away last year, and then he immediately just was a top 5 wide receiver every single week. It was pissing me off.
Train.
It goes back to Miles Sanders, and that's kind of the mistake I think. Despite the fact that he went 9 picks later, I wish instead of taking Miles Sanders, I had taken Cooper Kupp.
So here's my problem with Team Dick. I listen.
No, there are issues with that.
I'm Nick
for sure.
I drafted Nick Chubb at the 10 turn last season. I'm not necessarily knocking it there. The problem is you have to look deeper at what Nick Chubb did last season. Yes, he was still a borderline RB1 as the year went on, but his value significantly decreased starting on week 10 when Kareem Hunt came back into the picture.
Yes.
And
I do think that a little bit of that factor too is once they got to week 10, what were they? 3-7, 4-6? They were kind of out of it. And by the time the fantasy playoffs roll around, they were completely out of it.
They want to get Hunt involved. I get that, but Hunt also in Kansas City was the guy, and he was an elite level talent. It's possible they just have 2 elite running backs, and they're going to want to get them both involved. And the problem with committees is it's very hard for both members of a committee. It's doable, but it's hard for both members of a committee to be elite. And if you're spending the 12th overall pick, you need elite talent. Devontae Adams is on the board. Kenyon Drake is on the board. Austin Eckler's on the board. Julio Jones is on the board. Are these guys who you think Nick Chubb is going to outscore?
I understand, and I do think that, I don't know. Like I said, I don't hate Nick Chubb in that spot. Obviously, I personally would rather.
And what about David Johnson?
Devontae Adams or Julio Jones. Like I said,
we disagree on this.
We disagree on it. My take on David Johnson is he's never played with a quarterback as good as Deshaun Watson. I think that he could find new life in the Houston offense. That is what I'm saying. I've made my peace with that. I think that he could be a serviceable RB2.
David Johnson is a great pick.
I would be surprised if he does not at least end up being a flex level running back this
David
season.
Johnson is a great pick in 2016. He's not a...
Okay, but we're not sitting here acting
drunk Bill O'Brien traded David Johnson
you can't sit here and
for
act like,
Nuke Hopkins for some reason. They're not in the same universe of talent.
Look, there's also a lot of pick situations that went into that.
I'm just saying David Johnson is...
David Johnson I would have a really big problem if Darryl had drafted David Johnson in the second round where he took Nick Chubb. But no, he got him in the 5th. If he ends up being a flex running back, getting a flex running back in the 5th is exactly where you're hoping to get a flex running back.
So he took David Johnson, who was... scrolling. I mean, he wasn't healthy last year, but like, he was RB 38 last year. And I understand the injury issues, but that's because he's fucking old as shit. He drafted him instead of Mark Ingram.
Yes, Mark Ingram
was
is
an
the only
RB1.
Mark Ingram's probably the only one there that is bad. And I'm not saying there wasn't mistakes, but like no, like when you look at that turn in the next round, is there anyone that you're like, oh my god, how the fuck could you not like? Yeah, no, Mark Ingram,
Jonathan Taylor. Raheem Mostert.
Raheem Mostert. Okay.
I'm just saying, like,
yes, because it's
not just running back.
He was serviceable.
It's wide receiver.
Jonathan Taylor. Who the fuck knows it? Like, he's part of a fucking committee.
But here's what
I get you took Jonathan Taylor, so you're happy about him there. But no, like Jonathan Taylor is a rookie who could be the third running back in that offense.
I don't love David Johnson.
I know you don't. I'm saying he could be a flex running back. Crazy hot take. I also love T.Y. Hilton in the 6th. I'm
fine with T.Y. Hilton.
Phillip Rivers is going to be a huge upgrade over Jacoby Brissett for T.Y. Hilton. All Phillip Rivers likes to do is throw the ball down the field.
But what I'm just saying is David Johnson does not have a lot of tread left on the tires.
Maybe he doesn't.
I don't think he's the... I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think he's the answer. We'll get to the bottom 3 in a second, but we talked about your top 3 then.
I guess my top 3 kind of situation was Jason, Darryl, Nick, Window, if I'm not including myself in the conversation.
If you're not including yourself. I picked you, I picked, who did I pick? McMillan. And my third team is probably, like I said, Jason Smith. So we covered, I think, our top 3s.
Yeah. Let's
go to the bottom 3. I'm going to pick up right where you left off. Darryl and Nick. And it's only because it's I don't love his running backs. Like you said, his wide receivers, Robinson, Kupp, and Hilton, and even Gallup as a bench wide receiver. Love where he got them. Think they're great in those rounds. Think his wide receivers are going to be totally fine. He has substantial question marks at running back, and and don't get me wrong, I actually like the CEH pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, in the first round. I was thinking about taking him at 7, let alone 9. But the reason I took Derrick Henry is because it's like the senior rounders. If I don't do this, I'm not going to be able to. I won't be able to respect myself in the morning. Respect is all you have left in the morning. It's that. It's if I take Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Derrick Henry, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't become the guy in Kansas City.
I mean, he'll be the guy.
Will he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else is going to be it?
Leonard Fournette.
Okay, so I mean, I'll go back to what we were talking about. Christian McCaffrey might get traded to the Chiefs, guys. I mean, if we're just playing the hypothetical.
No, I'm just saying,
where random players might.
Remember last year when Kansas City didn't know who the guy was going to be? Like, we didn't know, like, Damian Williams was being drafted, like, late, because it was like, we don't know who's going to be the running back in Kansas. Like, it could be Charkandrick West or some shit. And, like, then all of a sudden, Damian Williams was, like, a super startable, like, running back. Like, Damian Williams used to be a Miami Dolphin. He wasn't that good. He's just playing for Andy Reid. And I get Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This is the guy Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
This is the guy Patrick Mahomes wanted. Big,
handpicked,
like a 3-down back. I love it on paper, but it's you can't mistake it. It is a risky pick in the same way Nick Chubb was a risky pick a year ago, right? And so if you're going to do that, you need to make sure your next picks at running back are solid, because the last thing you want is to be really struggling to find running back help because David Johnson is like older than father time and can't walk anymore. If he gets injured, he's done, and then they're down to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb is, if he turns into an RB2, you're banking on Clyde Edwards-Helaire being an RB1, which is still an unproven prospect. I'm just saying there's a...
How old do you think David Johnson is?
I would say early 30s.
He is 28 years old.
What?
28 years old.
What?
28. So I don't know why you think he's like this fucking Adrian Peterson beating father time.
It also doesn't help his case at all that, again, he's coming off an injury-plagued season. He honestly has not been fantasy like anywhere near his value in terms of ADP since like 2016.
So no, he exploded in 2016. That was his first big year. The next year he got hurt, played one game, and was done. When he came back, he obviously didn't have as good of a year. He had
940 yards,
7 touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns. So 10 touchdowns and 1,400 yards. 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. Obviously, that's a big step back from the 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns he had. Almost cut in half. Cut in half on the touchdowns. Last year, he was not healthy.
He lost the starting job
because he wasn't healthy. He wasn't healthy. He started 9 games, played in 13. Obviously, didn't have a good year. But there's obviously a reason. Like, who is going to take carries from him in Houston?
The Duke Johnson?
Duke Johnson's going to take carries as if he's ever been anything other than a third down back. Like, Duke Johnson is not a starting running back in the NFL.
I'm not saying he is, but I think it'd be more of a committee than
it might be more of a committee.
It was even a committee with Lamar. Like, was Lamar Miller? Lamar Miller's a better running back was a better running back last year than David Johnson was.
Okay.
And
he wasn't healthy.
What?
He wasn't healthy last year.
Oh, sorry. I mean, like 2 years ago, whatever.
What was he?
Let's find out.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, he had 900 yards, 400 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. I mean,
I'm just saying.
I don't know what he did 2 years ago. Like, I don't follow Lamar Miller really. Like,
yeah.
All I'm saying is I liked the 5th round pick of David Johnson because he could be a flex running back with the potential to be an RB2. And if you're getting an RB2 in the 5th round, that's good. Period. I'm not, like, again, these aren't I'm betting on these are going to be the 3 finalists, like the 3 teams that finish 1, 2, 3. It's, I think that despite the circumstances, I don't hate his team. Plus, I think this is actually a really funny role reversal because every year Daryl's in the top 3 for you.
I know. Well, that's the thing.
Every single year.
It's the first year that I'm like, I can't.
I think I just love the Cooper Kupp pick so much.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's both of us are basing this reaction off of how a player did on our roster last year, or who, like, for you, who went off of your roster and then blew up. For me, it's Nick Chubb, who lost value as the year went on, and that was a red flag. That's why I didn't draft him.
Yeah.
So that's Daryl, Nick, or my bottom 3. Name. Do you want to do the one we have in common?
Well, do you want me to like throw one in there now that you've already said Daryl?
You say your one, and then
let me throw my random one. Not a random one, but who I don't love. So I know Brad put out his projection thing that he had. I don't know if that was his own thing or if it was ESPN, but it kind of listed where everyone is. Yeah, I don't understand Zach's team being at the top of that list. Like, I just do not like Zach's team at all. Outside of Saquon, which, again, it's another situation. It's pretty close, obviously, either way. But, like, I feel like if I was in the 2 spot, I think I still take Zeke over Saquon.
I like Saquon.
I mean, it's understandable. Like I said, Saquon is Saquon, whatever. If you're between Saquon and Zeke is essentially a flip, whatever. I think Dallas just has more things in place. Last year, Saquon was the consensus #1 running back, and what happened? He didn't have a good year because the New York offense just wasn't what it needed to be. Maybe Saquon can step it up even further. We'll find out about that later. But, Josh Jacobs in the 2nd round?
A lot to ride on that pick.
I don't like it. Like, I don't want anything to do with the Raiders offense. Like, I know Josh Jacobs had a really good, like, rookie. He was a rookie last year, right? Like,
yeah.
Pretty sure he was a rookie. Like, he had a good rookie season, but I just don't like him in the 2nd round. I don't like it.
Kelsey in 3rd is a good pick.
Kelsey in 3rd is a good pick. I mean, so yes, he's got Saquon, he's got Kelsey. But, like, I don't like Robert Woods in the 4th. I don't like Devontae Parker in the 5th. I'm okay with Metcalf in the 6th. Kareem Hunt in the 7th is also okay. Like, again, he's not the RB1. Like, maybe he gets to that 50-50 split with Nick Chubb. But I just, like, go down his roster. Like, he took 10 wide receivers, and it's like, and I don't like a single one of them.
He took 10 wide receivers, then we had to retroactively
take a couple away. Like, I just do not like any of his wide receivers.
Just to make sure all of you know, so Zach drafted 10 wide receivers, which I wasn't allowed to edit the roster sizes after the draft. So we had to actually retroactively remove 2 of his wide receivers that were picked in like the last 2 rounds, I think. And it actually worked out hugely in his favor because who did he get in round 17 because of an agreed upon trade with James?
Chris Thompson,
who now could be the guy in Jacksonville.
I mean, he's not going to be the #1 guy. He's going to be.
Who would?
I saw the list today, and I'm not going to pretend like I know their names, but
yeah, exactly.
But Matthew Berry put out a thing about these 2 guys are going to be the #1 guys, and obviously Chris Thompson gets a bump. Like, he's going to get more carries. He probably get a little bit more second down work. He's not going to be. He's too small to be a #1 running back. Like, he's still going to be a passing down guy. But he's also shown that potential when healthy. Like, there was that year with Washington where he was a top 10 running back. And it just, like, it pisses me off because, like, it's just not realistic. But
that could be,
who else is Gardner Minshew throwing to, I guess? Like,
can you imagine if James let that go? Like, oh, I'll be nice. Like, I got to give him running back. And that turns into be like a top 10 running back in the 17th round.
I mean, here's the thing. Even if it's a flex.
That's huge.
A flex in the 17th round, it's just like, the ADP is just ridiculous.
That is going to be a wild thing to watch.
So, yeah, I don't like Zach's team. And I made this comment earlier when we were recording earlier, like if you give me $100, I wouldn't trade teams with Zach. Like I dislike his team so much. I don't know how he got rated as high as it is, and maybe it's just because like that system just like factors in like, oh well, you took the most wide receivers and it's a half-point PPR league. I don't know. I don't like so the only wide receiver that I'm like cool with is DK Metcalf, and it's mostly because he got him in the 6th.
I'm not that down on Zach's team. I think they're middle of the road. I think you're right that a lot hinges on Josh Jacobs, and I don't have a lot of shares of him this year, but I also don't hate him. I think he's fine where he got picked. Kelsey's a good pick. I'm also, again, I don't hate... I'm not a big Robert Woods fan, but I don't hate and I probably would have at that pick gone like Adam Thielen or OBJ maybe Cooper Kupp, but I don't necessarily hate Woods there. I don't mind Parker where he's picking on my Metcalf. Kareem Hunt I like. James White I like in terms of like a PPR, a half-point PPR league. That's a guy you want on your team that I think Cam Newton's going to throw the ball to. Cam Newton will throw the ball to his running backs. He did it for run CMC.
He might.
He did it for who were the two? It was who were the two? Jonathan Williams and like
it was D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart.
That's it.
Like there's potential for it. I don't know. Like I just don't usually trust too many running backs in a New England system, anyways, because there is still Sonny Michel. There's still Rex Burkhead.
Right.
Like there's.
You're right also about the fact that in rounds 9 through 13 are.
It's just like wide receiver, and like none of them are number one wide receiver.
And also, Jameson Crowder is picked when Deontay Johnson is available. Like that to me is nuts. It's Sterling Shepard.
Even Marvin Jones. Isn't Marvin Jones the number one guy in Detroit?
Yeah,
it's Jamison Crowder, which
no, it's Kenny Galladay. Is number one guy in Detroit.
Okay,
but either way, Sterling Shepard picked instead of McCole Hardman. Like you're John Brown picked instead of Anthony Miller. Like Mike Williams picked at all. Like they're unnecessary picks.
And then also you're running down to Josh Allen as your starting quarterback.
Yeah,
like he could be fine, but this is a year that
we talked about this.
Maybe he gets a bump with Stephon Diggs too. I don't know. Josh Allen has a huge arm. He likes to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, and he's mobile too.
He's mobile. It's not. I don't mind the fact that he got Josh Allen in the 14th is fine. Obviously, like.
But it's the end of a run of QBs.
But it's the end of a run. It was right after. Yeah, right after Joe Burrow, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers. Like.
Yeah. He's the 5th QB taken, and you hate to be at the end of a run. We've talked about that before.
Yeah. I don't love his team. I don't know how it got rated as high. But
so, you want to do the one we have in common?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Same time. We did it before. We counted it down 3, 2, 1.
I mean,
and,
it's a pretty obvious one.
Hot take?
It's not a hot take here, but yeah. 3, 2, 1. Brad, your team's awful. I mean, you know that. You've already posted the thing saying like you're just ready to take the Sacco now. I just like don't understand like half the picks that you made.
Brad's had a good couple years lately, but I think this might be the year where he finds himself missing the playoffs. It sucks because I feel like, we put a team in our bottom 3 at least. I think I put Jason Smith at the bottom 3 the year he had Jarrett McKinnon or whatever. Or no, I'm sorry, the Andrew Luck thing. I might have had him in the bottom 3. Yeah. And it sucks with like Leonard Fournette now.
Leonard Fournette could still end up somewhere that he'll be the starting running back.
He could.
So maybe I'm crazy here, but I have this thing where teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I try not to go out of my way to draft good players on terrible teams. Joe Mixon is not going to get the type of run that a lot of other running backs are because they're going to be down in every game. Their offensive line is atrocious. There's no OTAs. There's no training camp. Joe Burrow is going to have to figure everything out on the fly. Yeah,
Joe Mixon was an RB2 last year.
I think he has RB1 potential.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But if he was on... No, okay, Joe Mixon ends up on the Chiefs, he's a top 5 pick.
Absolutely.
Even if he's on... if Joe Mixon's on the Cowboys, if Joe Mixon's on Minnesota, if you swap out Joe Mixon for Zeke, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, he would be the one in those spots. But no, he's on Cincinnati.
Yeah. I mean, I get picking a running back with your first 2 picks because it's so hard if you don't get at least one running back to build a solid running back core with how quickly they go. But, Devontae Adams and Julio Jones are on the board there. And I don't mind the first 2 picks as much as I mind what follows.
Yeah, so, DeAndre Hopkins.
Leonard Fournette.
I'd rather have Devontae Adams or Julio than DeAndre Hopkins.
And Leonard Fournette and Todd Gurley went off the board when Cooper Kupp is available.
Mike Evans,
OBJ,
James Conner, Adam Thielen.
There's a lot of guys who are still talented players who are available. And then I don't mind Stephon Diggs, Raheem Mostert.
Stephon Diggs in the 5th I think is fine. I mean, a new offense.
Right.
Maybe it'll be a little bit better because Kirk Cousins likes to check it down. Josh Allen likes to throw it deep. Maybe that helps out Stephon Diggs a little bit.
Yeah, and it's also he's got Drew Brees and Joe Burrow. Again, I don't necessarily hate the value, but
I also just don't like the back-to-back Houston wide receiver picks.
Yeah.
You're literally just splitting targets between the 2 players. Are you really starting both? You're never starting both.
I mean, who would draft 2 players from the same team in back-to-back rounds? That seems stupid.
Yeah, I don't know who would do something like that.
I did it twice.
I know you did. It was Miami.
Both times.
God damn it.
So here's, and also, who's his tight end?
Blake Jarwin. Who? Blake Jarwin?
Who's his tight end?
Blake Jarwin.
Oh, yeah. No, Blake Jarwin. Oh, okay, got it. Blake Jarwin, that guy.
Wait, didn't Jason Witten come back?
Yeah.
Is he still playing this year?
Well, he's going to commentate while he's playing. He's going to commentate on the bench. Blake Jarwin. I
don't know who Blake Jarwin is.
I maybe get it, but I would have gone Austin Hooper or someone maybe not
obviously
Jared Cook,
you'd have gone Mike Gesicki, but
well, I think the Gesicki went right before that.
Oh, okay.
So if you need a tight end, Brad, hit me up.
Obviously, you would go Mike Gesicki over Blake Jarwin. You obviously did it.
Yeah, I did do that. I did do that.
That's what I'm saying.
So, I'm with you though that Brad I think is a bottom 3 team. I just don't think he has the staying power. Yeah, I don't. There's with every other team, there's something there where they're really strong, where they really knocked it out of the park. There's no point in Brad's draft where he really knocked it out of the park. He has probably 2 RB2s, a wide receiver, maybe a wide best case scenario 2 wide receiver 1s, 2 RB2s, and then a bunch of possible flex plays.
Yeah.
But that's best case scenario, and an aging Drew Brees and Joe Burrow. Let's see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
So that leaves 1 bottom 3 for each of us.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want me to?
I guess I can go first. So it's just another spot where if people were picked in different rounds, I'd probably like the team more because that means there'd be more talent. But I just don't love Chris Godwin in the 2nd for James. I really don't like it. And then who's his number 2 wide receiver?
Yeah.
AJ Brown.
Yeah.
We're trusting Ryan Tannehill now.
Let me in an ideal world, if I'm James, here's what I do. Dalvin Cook, I guess, is fine. Again, if
I'm 100% good with Dalvin Cook.
I'll live with that.
I'll live with it.
So then what I do is Austin Eckler in the 2nd.
I think that'd have been a much better pick instead of Chris
Juju in the 3rd.
Juju, right? Exactly.
Is great. Where it is great right there. And then you come back on the turn. Yeah, James Conner probably goes, which sucks.
Where did Juju go?
At 26 to Alex.
2 picks later, yeah.
So you go Juju.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't believe him,
say,
go Homer and go Amari Cooper.
I mean, if you're looking at it as, okay, you could have Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, and Juju. Yeah. Or Dalvin Cook, Chris Godwin, Chris Carson.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I'm also not I know Seattle runs the ball way too fucking much. I'm not a big Seattle running back guys because don't they also normally do a committee?
Yeah, I mean, but Chris Carson's
Chris Carson's gonna be the guy
because it's they had Chris Carson
I'm obviously not super high on him. I took 3 running backs before Chris Carson.
Yeah,
I could have taken Chris Carson right in that spot where Miles Sanders was, but I didn't.
Right.
I'm not big on Chris Carson, so I just just the way his progression of his draft went, and then Mark Andrews in the 5th, I think is just early.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I think it's a reach.
David Montgomery's never going to be a 3-down back. Tariq Cohen's there. Deshaun Watson in 7th is completely fine, but like
he gets hit a lot.
Yeah, but then it goes down to okay. Now you're looking at Marquise Brown, Kerryon Johnson, Darius Slayton. CeeDee Lamb might be a steal in the 11th though.
Maybe.
It would not surprise me if he like takes over the number 2 wide receiver spot.
Who's the starting running back in Detroit? Is it Kerryon Johnson?
I think it's Kerryon Johnson, but I'm not sure.
I mean, they don't really run the ball, but it's never a bad thing to get a starting running back in the 9th round. My thing is, I'm not. Is he the only one? I have James. Oh no, it's DeAndre Swift. Also was drafted before him, so it might be one of those things where.
So Chris Godwin is another spot though, where it's like, I don't love him in the 2nd because especially like the more talented wide receiver on his own team, Mike Evans, was taken at the end of the 4th.
Also, Tyreek Hill's on the board right there.
Where he took Chris Godwin, Tyreek Hill or Chris Godwin.
If you want a wide receiver, it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, like
or maybe Juju.
Or Juju, or Amari Cooper.
But even then, I would take Juju in the 2nd.
Yeah, just like I just don't like Chris Godwin there in the 2nd.
Neither.
And then again, like and then look where he was at. He was at the end of a run of wide receivers. It was seven wide receivers and 8 picks. He makes another wide receiver pick, and it's A.J. Brown as his number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, it's not great.
I don't love it.
Also, just saying...
especially when Odell Beckham, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp... Wait, no, that's the other side of it. Okay, good. That makes me feel a lot better about it. But no, Adam Thielen, though, is right there. I take him 1 pick later. Yep. Calvin Ridley. I know you're big on Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
Whole pick ahead. Like...
Also, just saying, here's the... we talked a little bit about this earlier. The Tom Brady versus... Jameis Winston effect of how that's going to affect Chris Godwin and Mike Evans' value. The way I put it, I think, was that Jameis Winston has Brett Favre syndrome in that when he's doing his drop, when he's doing the 3 or 5 or 7 step drop, he's just in his head every time thinking passes are way cooler if you force him into triple coverage. Like that's all it is. It's the kind of like
the target numbers are gonna go down for these guys.
Absolutely, because Tom Brady's not going to take those chances. If they're not open, he's not throwing the ball. Jameis Winston would be a volume shooter in the NBA. He'd be the kind of person who takes 20 shots, misses 18, and still is jacking up as every shot they can because they're bound to hit him eventually. And that's going to decrease target the number of targets. It's going to decrease their value in all likelihood. And again, you're sharing an offense with Mike Evans. Has Tom Brady ever been able to support 2 like stud wide receivers?
Oh yeah, I mean he has. He's had the Randy Moss Wes Welker years.
Yeah,
he has the Julian Edelman Gronk years.
But those we're still a little bit removed from those years. Like
no, obviously we're
Tom
still
Brady
removed.
last year. Did he support any relevant fantasy wide receivers?
Not really. I mean, Julian Edelman was still I think in the top 10 or 15.
Right,
but. No, normally it's not too, but he also didn't have Gronk last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like I said, based on what I've seen out of his team, I just don't like kind of where he got what he got. Again, I'd feel a whole lot better if he had Tyreek Hill or Austin Eckler and Tyreek Hill or Austin Eckler and Juju. I'd feel a whole lot better about his team. Okay. I think like I kind of said, everyone kind of messed up on 1. I think he messed up on 2.
So my last pick would probably be for bottom 3 would probably be Windows team, and it's again I agree with you wholeheartedly. We talked to death about the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, but he killed the first 3. Obviously, there's question marks down the rest of his roster.
Like, there were a lot of times during the draft when like Window would announce his pick via the webcam, and it would be like, okay, scrolling, looking at my arm where a watch would be for comedic effect, scrolling, looking at my watch again condescendingly, scrolling, and there's the guy. Like, it seriously was just, like, amazing how many times I felt he reached hard. What is he doing drafting Tom Brady at 12? What is he doing drafting Noah Fant at 13? Like, and again, he's at the end. If we talked about the Josh Allen being at the end of a run of QBs, no, Matt Stafford was the end of that run of QBs because that's the turn right there.
Yeah.
Like, it makes 0 sense to me what he's doing. The Latavius Murray pick might turn into value.
Because it's another one of those spots where Matthew Stafford would have been there if you picked him up on free agency.
Yeah.
Because he was not the last quarterback taken. There are 2 more quarterbacks taken, but
Ben Roethlisberger and Tua. James, I think,
Tua's going to start as a backup too.
Yeah, like. I don't know. To be honest with you, I had no shares of Tua before the draft, just because, like, quarterbacks are a dime a dozen.
Yeah. I mean, I got Aaron Rodgers in the 14th.
But he could have. That's the thing. He could have, at the Tom Brady pick, he could have waited, taken, like, I don't know, maybe Golden Tate. Like, I get there's not a lot of value left out there, but, like, you took Kansas City's defense. Do you want Baltimore's defense or New England's defense instead? Just grab them. Then with your 13th round pick, instead of drafting Noah Fant when you have George Kittle, Noah Fant, okay. Why not you just draft, I don't know, any of those 5 quarterbacks? Carson Wentz or Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers or Matt Ryan. You know? There are so many times where I just don't get what he's doing. I never know what he's doing up there. And, like, it's just, he's going to have his first 3 picks carry him through the year, and in order for that to happen, he's going to have to make, unless all of his guys are just blowing up all the time, he's going to have to make some tough decisions. Maybe Latavius Murray or Devin Singletary will turn into a serviceable starter. Guess what? One less decision. Then you only have to account for 2 spots on your roster. Tyler Lockett, Courtland Sutton, are we believing they're going to be wide receiver 2s or flex plays at the end of the year? Maybe.
Might be.
Maybe not.
Sometimes, I mean, like I said, I understand that there are holes in his roster. I understand there's question marks.
He's a 3-man roster.
I have seen 2 players lead people to championships. It's happened.
Yeah,
it happened to me.
Happened season 1.
Aaron Rodgers, David Johnson.
Yep.
Just mollywopped everybody in that playoff run for McMillan.
Remember,
it can happen. And if Christian McCaffrey is going to do it early and drop a couple of 40 burgers in the playoffs, and Tyreek Hill can give you a 25-point game, and George Kittle's going to get you 15, like, you just need bodies almost in those other spots.
Our first season was literally Jason Smith went to the championship
on the back of Chris Johnson.
Drew Brees and Chris Johnson. That was it.
Two players can do it.
CJ2K.
He has 3 players that have that potential.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I don't. You're betting on Window to make those calls.
I understand.
And it's no disrespect to Window. It's just you got to prove it, rookie.
Yeah. I feel like there's not a ton of teams that have a 1-2 punch that can lead you to a championship. Yeah. Like, looking at my team, I don't think I have that. Maybe Russell Wilson, Zeke, but I'm not counting on that. I don't even think, like, looking at other teams, but it's like,
if Austin Eckler, Zeke, and Russell Wilson all turn into studs, you'll probably
no. So, like, my team is not built to be 2 players at the top leading me.
No, it's
I'm
strong
saying
all around.
He's got those 3. Like,
yeah.
Jason's also in one of those spots. It could be a Lamar Jackson, Aaron Jones that leads him to it.
Yeah, it could.
Maybe.
Aaron Jones, number 2 running back in fantasy last year.
This is what I'm saying. Like, he has not only a 1-2, he has a 1-2-3.
Yeah.
And I think that could potentially propel him into the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs,
anything can happen.
Anything can
happen. It's a dice roll.
Exactly.
So that concludes top 3, bottom 3. We got to go through some of the, like, individual picks here, and this starts with the biggest steal in the draft, the best value pick in the draft. I think I've got my guy.
Give me 1 second here.
And this is omitting the Chris Thompson, like, Leonard Fournette stuff.
That's still up in the air.
That's up in the air. I'm also gonna not pick. I mean, there's a couple guys I was considering for this. I think Deontay Johnson, Tyler Boyd are good value for where they were for McMillan. I really think that there's a lot of good picks out there. This one is actually, I don't know if this is a steal, in the traditional sense. It's a 4th round pick.
Okay.
But I think it's going to turn into. I could have seen this guy drafted in the early 3rd round.
Okay. I mean, there's I feel like there's just a lot of picks in that 4th round that
could be number 1.
Huge things where, like, they could way outdo their ADP. But go ahead with your pick.
It's James Conner to me.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
I like James Conner. I could have seen you taking him at 23.
Yeah.
He fell all the way down to 36. Like, I kind of regret not drafting him myself because I would have loved to have, like, had James Conner in my starting lineup. I was hoping he would fall to the 5th round. There was no way that was happening. But, like, I love that James Conner pick. I think it was a steal. So I think because I think he's, of the RB2s, in my opinion, he's the most likely to become an RB1. I know we talked about another running back who you think is going to finish as an RB1 potentially, and you were so confident in that pick that you made a slap bet on it. Would you like to tell the folks at home?
All right, so what we have come to the conclusion on is
that you're going to slap the shit out of at the end of the season?
Last season, Le'Veon Bell finished as the number 17 running back in fantasy football. He was drafted as the number 17 running back this year. I contend that he had a terrible year last year. And despite having a terrible year, he finished 17th, 35 points back on the top 10. So Sean and I have made the slap bet. We've put it on the board. It's already
on the board.
Keyshawn. Put it on. Le'Veon Bell will finish as a top 10 running back this season.
There is no way in hell he will do that. And I will tell you the one reason why, the two words why. Adam Gase.
Sam Darnold is going into his third year. He could take a step up. They're finally going to have some continuity. I understand your take on it. I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up as a top 10 running back. That's also still not my pick as the steal of the draft, though, despite that happening in the 5th round. I will say, though, that I still feel like that's probably my biggest mistake, Miles Sanders in the 3rd. I wish I had taken James Conner. I wish I had taken Juju. I wish I had taken Cooper Kupp.
It's hard.
Like,
you were also reeling from the tight end thing. The thing is,
I wish I had taken Cooper Kupp.
Just back to Le'Veon, I think, for one more second. When I say Adam Gase, I mean Adam Gase has. I mean, obviously he alienated Jamal Adams. He had a history of alienating players in Miami. That's why everybody jumped ship. It wasn't just people came in with Brian Flores didn't want to play for a rebuilding team. It was that they had been alienated systematically by Adam Gase for years. He's a terrible head coach. He pisses off players. Nobody likes him. And Sam Darnold has not yet developed and shown he's going to be the guy.
I'm not saying he has. I'm saying he could take that step this year.
Maybe.
All it would take, remember, from last year.
Josh Allen going to throw the ball? I'm sorry, now who's Sam Darnold going to throw the ball to, by the way?
2 points per game is all he needs to make up. That's 2 points per game.
Assuming arguendo that all those... There were guys last year that finished above him that, like again, you're going to have, in order for him to be top 10...
I understand what it's going to take.
Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones,
it's Le'Veon Bell,
Henry, Zeke, Dalvin Cook,
it was his
Austin
first
Eckler,
year in a new offense. With a second-year quarterback
Saquon,
and a brand new head
Kamara.
coach. I understand what it would take.
It's going to take a lot.
It might.
You're going to get slapped.
Maybe. But you also might get slapped. And I feel like you're getting the worst end of that deal, actually, because my slaps on you is going to be worse than yours on mine.
That's true.
I've already been slapped by you. It ain't that bad.
Yeah.
So,
I don't slap
my steal of the draft, which I'm a little surprised that he went this low already, because, hold on a second, let me just count them out really quick just so that I know for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26 or 27 wide receivers went ahead of Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry finished as wide receiver 13 last year.
Wow.
And Jason got him in the 7th round.
Wow. That does give some perspective to that pick.
I don't think that Jarvis Landry is going to fall off a cliff. Honestly, I think the Cleveland offense is going to be better.
Yeah.
Freddie Kitchens isn't going to be there to ruin everything.
And you know what's crazy? I got so freaked out of the Dak Prescott thing. I could have probably taken Jarvis Landry with the Dak Prescott pick and still gotten Dak on the way back, maybe.
Probably.
Oh, man. That might have been my mistake. Wow. That's a great stat for good for Jason Smith.
Yeah, I 100% think you would have gotten Dak there. Maybe Daryl,
Wow.
maybe Daryl and Nick, maybe Daryl takes him, but yeah.
Man, that's a good pick.
The number 13 wide receiver goes in late in the 7th round.
What about the biggest reach?
I mean, Jason also gets it. So
yeah, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson in the 2nd is just crazy to me, but
the
rest of his draft went so fucking well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna, I think, pick a different one.
You're going to pick a different reach other than Lamar Jackson being the biggest reach of the draft.
Well, you already covered it, and I agree it's up. It could be the biggest reach. I'm just going to throw another one out there for your consideration.
Okay. Because there is another one in the 2nd round that I didn't like, so...
Well, you didn't like Chris Godwin or Josh Jacobs. I know you don't like either of those two picks.
I don't, but I think there's one that's even worse than those two.
Really?
It's tough between the Chris Godwin one. I really don't like Kenyon Drake in the second round.
I'm fine with it.
I don't like it. Austin Eckler.
Mine was...
Austin Eckler. The number 5 running back last year.
I get it. I'm not...
Is the 13th running back off the board?
I get it. Here's my thing. My reach is for window. 8th round.
Henry Ruggs? I mean, it's tough to say anything's a reach once you're getting that far in.
I don't think I knew who Henry Ruggs was.
Really? Wide receiver for Alabama? Really good.
Calgary St. Peters?
Him and Jerry Jeudy, man.
I do like Jerry Jeudy.
Same team. Same situation.
But here's the thing. Jerry Jeudy went, 11th round?
No, obviously, Henry Ruggs might be a reach there.
Who's throwing to Henry Ruggs?
Derek Carr is good. What are you talking about?
Derek Carr. They're going to be throwing the ball, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Who else is I don't know. I don't get the Henry Ruggs pick at all. And I don't get it in the 8th round. When there are still guys on the board that can Latavius Murray is totally fine at that turn. There are guys out there. Deontay Johnson is on the board there. It makes no sense to me. Marvin Jones is on the board there. It makes 0 sense to me. He hasn't picked a quarterback yet. He can still get Drew Brees if he wants him. He can still get any of his quarterbacks. He can still get Gronk, Hayden Hurst. I mean, he's got George Kittle. He doesn't need that. But, why Henry Ruggs? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I understand. I'm saying, not that I understand this, but I understand your confusion about the pick there. I just think it's really tough to top a quarterback in the second round in a league like this.
Yeah, that's probably. I would say Jason's probably a bigger.
It's got to be the biggest turnaround.
It was just wild when you were suggesting it,
jokingly suggesting it, and then he's like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." No, but here's the thing: how big of a turnaround from one year to the next can it be, though? Lamar Jackson goes undrafted last year to a second round pick.
And hey, it could end up working out for Jason.
It does, just because everyone else just made so many mistakes that he falls into Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Melvin Ingram, Mark Ingram, Jarvis Landry, Evan Ingram, I don't want to fucking play Jason right now.
What about a risky pick? What about a pick that could blow up in somebody's face?
That could blow up in somebody's face.
I mean, it's like a boom or bust. Honestly, I would say it's either Zach or James in the second round with Godwin and Jacobs because
I just don't like either of those picks in the second round. It's risky.
They're risk because again, Josh Jacobs really is where was he last year?
Who?
RB2. He was an RB2, I think.
Who?
Josh Jacobs.
I think somewhere around there.
He was at the bottom of the RB2 listing. But Josh Jacobs is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, the 13th running back off the board. You have Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, and James Conner all available. You can get them at the turn. If Zach wanted, he could have grabbed Kittle there. And then if Window goes Hill and Kelsey, he's still got Josh Jacobs. He could, even if Window drafts Jacobs, he's got Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette, obviously we know, but James Conner, there are other guys available. And it's a lot to bet on Josh Jacobs. And for Chris Godwin...
Yeah, Josh Jacobs finished as the running back number 18 last year.
Bottom of RB2 listing. And Chris Godwin is again, you want to reduce variables in fantasy football, and Chris Godwin's going to have Tom Brady thrown to him instead of Jameis Winston. Less targets. So I think those are two risky picks for second rounders because you want your first 2 or 3 picks to be like Windows, solid guys you don't have to worry about.
So, not that this was a part of the whole thing, but tell me if you think I'm wrong in these spots, because now that I've made the claim of everyone made a mistake, tell me if you agree, yes or no, on these being, I don't know if I want to go as far as saying mistake, but questionable picks in the spots that they were in. Okay, so obviously you agree Josh Jacobs in the second round is questionable.
Yeah.
Yes. Miles Sanders in the third, how do you feel about that? I feel like that's where I made my big mistake. I feel like there's a lot of things I could have taken differently.
I think there's a couple other guys I would have probably taken, but I don't think it's I would have. I'm fine with Sanders where you got him.
Okay, so I don't like either Chris Godwin or Chris Carson as second and third picks. I feel like there's a lot of other things that he could have done better.
Fine with Carson, not fine with Godwin. I wouldn't have taken Godwin there. I think Eckler is a no-brainer.
I think they get. Well, that's just. I think because of that though, if he takes Eckler here, he's taking Juju. He's taking Amari Cooper. He's taking Cooper Kupp. He's taking Mike Evans. He's taking Odell Beckham Jr.
Right.
It's like, I don't think Chris Carson is off the board in that situation for him if he takes Austin Eckler in that spot.
Yep.
Like, his team is so much scarier if it's Austin Eckler and
Dalvin Cook. Like Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, and Juju.
Or Odell, or Mike Evans, or Cooper Kupp.
Well, I'm saying if his
like
first three are Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, and Juju, I'm probably considering him for top 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that Chris Godwin pick, it set him up to take Chris Carson as the problem. Because you got to get your second running back in before you take 2 wide receivers.
It's funny how in fantasy, like, one bad pick can turn into, like, a bad roster.
Yeah. Because it led down to him having A.J. Brown as his second wide receiver.
That's not great. Not great, Bob.
Especially because... Hold on. No. It's going this way. I mean, I feel like Adam Thielen or Calvin Ridley are better choices there than A.J. Brown.
Oh, yeah.
So, like... I don't know. It just kind of stacked. I'm focusing on the first 3. So now tell me what you think. I don't think Patrick Mahomes in the third was good. I feel like he's better off being a 4th or a 5th.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit of a mistake.
But it works out for McMillan because he gets James Conner in the 4th.
Yeah, it did work out that he got a steal in that spot in the 4th. But I don't know. Don't you feel a little bit more comfortable if you take Juju in that spot and then think Alvin Kamara, Julio Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster, and James Conner. And then, who knows? Maybe Patrick Mahomes is there in the 5th.
No, he's not.
You don't think so? No way?
Probably not.
Another one didn't go until the 7th.
I know, but I think I might have taken Mahomes like the 4th.
Okay, but here's the thing. Plug Russell Wilson in there.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the 5th, like, again, that still would have been a reach, but like...
Yeah.
But tell me, do you like Kamara, Jones, Mahomes, Connor, McLaurin, or do you like Kamara, Jones, Juju, Connor? I mean, literally, it's you get Juju instead of Terry McLaurin, you get Russell Wilson instead of Patrick Mahomes.
Here's the other thing too.
I think that's huge.
If he drafts Russell Wilson, I shouldn't put it in front of the camera. Yeah. If he drafts Russell Wilson in like the 6th round, let's say on the coming back, he can draft Waller in all likelihood in the 7th because you're probably not drafting. I mean, I don't know if you're drafting Waller, but on the 6-7 turn. But if you don't, Waller's there in the 7th because Kelsey, Kittle, and Andrews were gone by
I think
James Zach and Window.
The difference between Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes is small enough that the difference between Terry McLaurin and Juju is huge.
Yeah, but I do like Terry McLaurin this year.
I mean, I know you do, but like I think Patrick Mahomes is early. Alex, I just really don't like Kenyon Drake in the 2nd, especially still because Austin Eckler was there.
Yeah. What about so we've covered biggest reach, biggest risk, biggest.
Let me get down to the
we're still going?
Yeah, because we're right here. We got 4 teams left. Now I know maybe you're not going to agree with this.
We're saying per team.
What?
For biggest risk.
No. I wasn't even talking about biggest risk. No, this is just me going through mistakes in the first 3 rounds. Is what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've been doing for the last 7 teams. What are you talking about? No. So now that we're on to your team.
I don't like Galladay, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, Galladay, I think, like, again, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, OBJ. A lot of wide
receivers. I ended up getting OBJ, in the which was nice.
You did. But if you get OBJ the first time around, okay, you can have Mike Evans and OBJ. You can have Cooper Kupp and OBJ.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not big on Kenny Galladay, but I feel like probably, I mean, I think him and Allen Robinson are a wash, but like Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, I'd rather have any of those 3 over Kenny Galladay. So, Daryl and Nick, I mean, I think Allen Robinson is the mistake there. I know you don't like Nick Chubb in that spot either, so you can talk about 2 mistakes.
I would say
there.
Nick Chubb would be mine. I would have probably taken Devontae Adams and then gone for a running back like on the 3 round.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
James Conner's still there in that round.
So you, like my lineup probably would have been CEH, Devontae Adams, James Conner, and then you still can get Cooper Kupp in the 4th.
Obviously, since he did.
Right, and then you're talking. Then your lineup's much more palatable if David Johnson and T.Y. Hilton are your flex plays.
Yeah.
Then I think there's less risk involved.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with Allen Robinson.
And then Brad, obviously he couldn't have anticipated the Leonard Fournette situation. I still don't love Joe Mixon.
Again, Fournette's the mistake though because Connor's available.
Yeah.
You know.
How did James Conner fall all the way to the 4th?
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Like middle of the 4th too, not even the beginning of it.
Yep. So biggest loss. I'm assuming we're gonna agree. We don't know yet, but Leonard Fournette ?
Oh, biggest loss before the season starts?
Yeah, because like every year we had 2 years ago we had the Jerick McKinnon where I made the meme of believe in something, believe in Jerick McKinnon even if it means sacrificing your 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
And then we had...
at this point, I think Leonard Fournette's the real only casualty at this point,
Right.
right? Like,
and then we had the slow roll last year of, was it Lamar Miller tore his ACL in preseason, so we thought it'd be Zach. And then Andrew Luck retired right before the season began.
Like, so I was in
Jason.
Hawaii during the draft. Andrew Luck retired before I left Hawaii. Like, I was literally at a bar watching football, and, and there he goes.
So this year so far, knock on wood, no one's had a COVID, like a major player who's like been out due to COVID.
I mean, at this point, right now is the best time if you're going to get COVID to get it, because we still got
2 weeks.
2 weeks till the season starts. Like,
but I would say probably Leonard Fournette right now, just because of the variables in play, and because he doesn't have a team yet.
Yeah.
But who knows if that could end up working out in Brad's favor. Because I don't see any other guys. There's guys who are questionable, but no one who's had like a season-ending injury in like preseason.
I know we talked about it on the first go around, because I kind of mentioned your team being in that conversation of teams that like I liked.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden you just like went on this spree of just drafting Miami Dolphin after Miami Dolphin after Miami Dolphin. Like, what was it? You had 4 out of 6 picks from all Miami players?
The only thing that I would really...
Back-to-back Miami running backs followed up by... Yeah, back-to-back Miami... You did back-to-back Miami running backs in the 8th and the 9th.
Drafted the committee. I mean, here's the thing. The only thing I really regret is I probably... Like, the Jordan Howard, Matt Breida thing, maybe I don't do that again if I like, could do it over. But here, Jordan Howard is going to get 50% of the carries, according to like everything I've heard out of training camp. Matt Breida is going to get 35. Matt Breida, by the way, and he played behind a better offensive line in San Francisco.
That's for damn sure.
But he's a speed back who averages 5 yards a carry in his career. And I know Miami has a bad offensive line, especially in pass protection, but they're actually surprisingly good with the run, especially outside run plays. The Jordan Howard Matt Breida thing, if one of them runs away with the job and becomes a starter, I have nothing to worry about. They're serviceable. And so I don't necessarily hate those picks because it's late round running backs, which take a flyer on, see if they hit. The other two are Preston Williams and Mike Gesicki. Preston Williams, I'm big on this year. I honestly think, and this might be a weird thing, I think Preston Williams will finish very close to Devontae Parker at season's end in terms of total points.
But I also think Devontae Parker in the 5th is a reach.
I agree, but I drafted Preston Williams in the 12th. So what I'm saying is if you can get a flex-worthy player in the 12th round, I'm fine with it. And Preston Williams could have a huge season. All reports out of training camp are they love this kid. And this is like he had a before he got injured last season, a season-ending injury in the middle of the year, he was like on pace for a flex-worthy fantasy season. And then Mike Gesicki, we talked about this in the first pod, the thing that got deleted. I drafted 3 tight ends because there was this weird logjam in every one of my mocks where like all of a sudden in like the 8th round on, there would just be this slew of tight ends that would sit there and no one would draft them. And like they were guys who I thought, like there were a couple guys, Hayden Hurst and Mike Gesicki specifically, less so Gesicki, but Hayden Hurst is in the 10th. I think he could have a top 5 season. I think he could outscore Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, Tyler Higbee, Mark Andrews even.
I haven't said a word about that pick, man.
And so what I'm saying is, if I can get him at the 10th and he turns into a flex-worthy play, not hating on it. And Mike Gesicki, I'm actually down on him this year, but he didn't get picked, and it was the 13th round. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll take a flyer on my guy because he's got the ability. It's just about the quarterback situation. Fitzpatrick was developing chemistry with him. So that's why I did what I did. So I drafted 3 tight ends, whatever. I'm not worried about it. We've covered, I think, all of the draft talk. So it really comes down to that time again for the week 1 matchups. And what's funny is I just randomized the matchups today because I had to go in and do that. So the schedule is now correct, accurate with who you're going to play through the season.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Well, so what's funny is I see you saw your matchup. But really quick, before we go to yours, mine, I was supposed to play Daryl. I played Daryl and Nick week 1 last year. I randomized it. I'm still playing Daryl and Nick week 1. It's just fate. That's been our rivalry. So let's go through it and see who's going to win. Daryl and Nick versus myself. Who you got?
I'm a little surprised that when you click into it, it's not giving the projected totals.
Yeah,
Why is it doing that? Can
maybe.
Can we just go back and
Yeah.
top?
It's got the projections on there for some reason.
So obviously looking like a close matchup from the initial things, but I do need to see a team. So it's a projected total of Sean with 105, Daryl and Nick with 102. So let me look at your guys's. Is this like? But I mean, obviously, maybe starting lineups actually haven't been set quite yet here.
Yeah, I mean the bench is over here. I'll kind of like turn this. I'll move this over here so you can kind of see.
I don't love that Nick Chubb gets to open up the season against Baltimore.
Didn't work out for him last year.
Well, it did work out for him at the beginning of last year.
Not in the playoff.
Not in the
finals.
Not in the final. But and I'm expecting that T.Y. Hilton's going to get moved into a starting role here, especially playing against the Jacksonville terrible defense. Why do you have an extra player?
IR.
He
does. Deebo Samuel's out.
He's already on the IR.
He's out. He's on the IR.
But that's the point of the IR.
The IR is he's injured. Yeah, he's injured right now.
He's pushing to be ready for week 1 of this news.
But again, if Daryl and Nick want to bring him back on their roster, they'd have to drop somebody else.
Okay. Well, I guess just off of the first look here, I guess I'm going to give a slight nod to Daryl and Nick. Matchups are looking kind of good for them, especially, or not great. Carson Wentz playing against Washington is a big one. I think Cooper Kupp's also going to run wild on Dallas. Let me see. Let me look a little closer on your side.
You probably should, because I have me winning.
Of course you do.
I mean, I'm not. Listen, I don't circle jerk I didn't put my team top 3 like some people. My thing
First of all, I literally said I'm not doing that, and I picked 3 other teams. So
Sure
why don't
you're
you
not.
suck a dick?
Here's the thing. Quarterbacks.
Again, I don't. I mean, both of you have a player going up against the Baltimore defense in week 1.
There's a difference between the Baltimore run D and the Baltimore pass D, especially when their arguably best pass defender is no longer with the team. Earl Thomas.
I know you're going to feel happy about it, but
I feel great about it.
Want to make a slap bet whether or not OBJ has more or less than 15 points?
No, but I'll tell you this.
Zach Ertz against Washington is good.
There's a lot of my team.
I don't feel comfortable with Jonathan Taylor in that spot.
I'm probably not starting Jonathan Taylor there. Honestly, I'd probably go maybe Jordan Howard and feel it out against New England because they're not going to be the same team as they were, especially because their defense lost half of its roster, and they've also had 10 opt-outs I think due to COVID. Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott's probably a wash.
I think Carson Wentz is going to have a much better day against Washington's terrible defense.
Dak Prescott against the Rams is going to be a shootout. Every game against the Rams has 40 points both ways.
Slap bet on whether or not Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott scores.
Again, I'm not making slap bets on everything. I'm just saying, I think QB is going to be close.
I think that Carson Wentz has a big
I think
advantage.
Derrick Henry will outperform. It has an edge over CEH, but it could go either way.
Yeah, it's tough.
Nick Chubb absolutely has an edge over whoever I started RB2, whether it's Jonathan Taylor or otherwise. Devontae Adams is better than Allen Robinson.
Yeah, but that's also not the one.
Galladay and Cooper Kupp are close.
Cooper Kupp's is definitely the head one there.
Cooper
Kupp, when healthy, was a top 5 wide receiver.
Galladay was a number 1 wide receiver.
No, I said a top 5.
Oh, okay.
Would definitely be so he finished 4. Hold on. This is where I traded him. 27, 22, 22.
And then 3, 8.
Then 31.
31.
I mean, so I think
5, 0,
I
6,
think he got hurt in that game where he was 0. But
I mean, it's just
tell me who did get drafted first? Was it Kenny Galladay?
Yeah.
Yes, right, because you took Kenny
No,
Galladay.
yeah, I took Kenny Galladay
and
to OBJ. So Kenny Galladay, let's look at his stats. 12, 21, then at 2, then 21, by 14, another 2, 25, 21, 13. He goes they both have
I skipped the 4 and the 8.
No. What I'm saying is they both have bad weeks where they're putting up 4, but overall they're putting up 10s and 20s, both of them.
And a couple gets all the targets in that offense.
Okay. Zach Ertz is better than Tyler Higbee. Yeah. Odell Beckham Jr. is better than David Johnson.
I don't think David Johnson's going to start in that spot. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to get plugged in.
Okay, Odell Beckham Jr. is better than T.Y. Hilton,
Again,
probably.
I also think that T.Y. Hilton is a much better matchup. despite you can talk about Earl Thomas all you want, but T.Y. Hilton versus the Jags is still a better matchup than OBJ against Baltimore. The matchup is better.
All right.
There's no arguing that Baltimore's defense is better than Jacksonville's.
I'm winning.
Okay. I think it's close.
All right. Next up, we got McMillan, swift kick in the butt curve versus Dead and Burrowed, which is Brad, I believe.
Yeah. And it's
projections
like 96.9 versus 104.7
in favor of McMillan.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the rosters. The problem is that Mixon and Kamara are both questionable, and DeAndre Swift's also questionable right now.
Well, I think Kamara's questionable because of the contract situation.
Yeah, what's the latest on that right now? Yeah.
Like, all they're saying right
They've
now is
grown
it's
closer.
I think they're going to come to a deal. I don't think he's going to get the kind of money he
Look at
wants.
that fucking lineup for McMillan. Holy shit.
Like I said,
That's
I'm
gross.
still not as high on Terry McLaurin as you are, and I don't love his flex. Surprisingly, I mean, Patrick Mahomes against Houston. Drew Brees has to play against Tampa Bay's defense in Week 1. I feel like this is also kind of a toss-up. Maybe this is a hot take. Despite I think Brad being a bottom 3, I'm gonna take Brad in Week 1.
You're out of your mind.
I'm taking Brad in Week 1.
Patrick Mahomes over Drew Brees is easy.
Yeah, sure.
Kamara over Mixon is easy.
I think Mixon is going to have his best week. One of his I don't know. I think he's going to be fine in Week 1. Maybe that's a mistake. I don't have high hopes for Kansas City's offense. For Cincinnati's offense. I definitely think.
Do you think Fournette's going to outscore Connor?
Well, we're going to have to see where Leonard Fournette ends up.
No
still.
shit.
All right, man.
We got 2 weeks left to go.
Tampa Bay's defense is good.
Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins a close matchup. That's probably a wash. McLaurin over Diggs. I'll give the nod to Diggs. Sure. Darren Waller over Blake Jarwin. No shit.
I don't like DeAndre Swift.
Brad wins in the flex and Brad wins at wide receiver too. Aside from that, there is no position that matters where Brad wins.
But you also have, like I said, there are extenuating circumstances in this one. With Leonard Fournette, you don't know where he's going to end up, and you don't know whether or not Alvin Kamara is going to play.
Alvin Kamara's going to play.
I would believe that. But it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't right now. We are 10 days from the start of the season.
Alvin Kamara
and he is missing
more likely
3 consecutive practices because of a contract dispute.
Alvin Kamara is more likely to play than Leonard Fournette. Let's put it that way.
We'll see.
Next up, your matchup. Are you feeling it, Mr. Krat? Are you going to keep that name?
Yeah, probably. I have Adam Thielen.
I mean, I just was wondering. Smith's got to change his name. Are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs versus Just My Luck? The projection is 104 to 108 with you in the lead.
Yeah.
Not like projections matter.
I mean, they do a little bit, but
Who do I have winning? Well, you said you didn't want to play Smith in Week 1.
I didn't. I think Lamar has a little bit of a nod over Russell Wilson.
Yeah. No shit.
I think Zeke has a little bit of a nod over Aaron Jones. I think Minnesota's defense is going to be Minnesota's defense is going to be solid. I think Austin Eckler has a nod over Melvin Gordon. Adam Thielen and Amari Cooper, maybe Amari. I think that's a little bit of a wash. I think Mike Evans over Calvin Ridley for sure. I mean, it depends on. We don't know what to expect out of Gronk, so I guess we're going to wait and see on that. But my starting lineup here also could get moved around. Like Keenan Allen might become a starter.
This actually could very well be the matchup to watch of the week because this is actually a very good game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close.
It's a lot. This could be a monster scoring day for.
Because Jarvis Landry also could get plugged into this game too.
That's nuts. Man, his roster's good, and Keenan Allen too on the other side.
I got Keenan Allen.
There's some really talented players on these teams. I'm gonna give the slight nod to Jason only because I feel like Lamar, like you said about with the window thing about Lamar Jackson, Aaron Jones, and even Amari Cooper could just be monsters, and Mark Ingram too. I mean, the biggest problem that Jason's going to have if he starts both Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram moving forward is obviously they both can be studs, but it's harder for both of them to be studs unless they're doing the read option and just literally running the ball a shitload.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough matchup in Week 1. Like I said, I did literally fucking Jason. Say I don't want to fucking play Jason right now, and what do? I play.
Who you got? You gonna bet on yourself?
I mean, obviously I'm gonna bet on myself.
That's what I thought you would do.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. All right, next.
Did you pick yourself to win?
Yes.
Yeah, that sucked my day.
Bobby's Pussy Teasers versus... That's never not going to be funny. Versus Mac to the Future. So we've got...
The projection, I'm pretty sure, has Zach winning.
They need to change it. If you haven't changed your team name from last year, fucking do it already. Unless you are like him and draft the same team every year.
It didn't work last year, but it'll probably work this year.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't go wrong again. I only need to look at this for like a minute.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
I've been saying it from the start. I don't like Zach's team. I'm picking a Birchak.
I love...
And here's the thing. Out of the gate, Le'Veon Bell is gonna have a top 10 week in week 1. It's already gonna happen. It's gonna like just get the ball rolling.
This is
great.
This is an interesting matchup because Zach's got the better running backs, in my opinion. Alex has the better wide receivers. I really...
Zach has the better tight end.
Zach has a better tight end. Flex is a question mark.
Eagles defense versus Washington is helpful for Zach.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Zach.
All right.
I'm
going Alex.
Only because I actually think that this is where Matt Ryan will start to have his kind of like I think this is where we start to see his decline. He's getting a little bit older. How old is he now?
32.
Something like that. I mean, I know like quarterbacks. Obviously, Tom Brady can play into their 40s, but like Josh Allen has that benefit of being a mobile quarterback, and he's got Stephon Diggs to throw to now.
Yeah. But like I said,
not to mention that Zach has Kareem Hunt on his bench.
I'm gonna be committed to take integrity here. I still don't like Zach's team. I'm taking Alex over Zach in week 1.
And that leaves the last one of
Window versus
James.
111 to 110.8.
The high. Wait. So really quick, Zach. I forgot. Zach and Alex's matchup was Zach's prediction 113 to.
But
Alex
again, these are just the ones that are currently put into starting things, where like things could get shifted around. So we're not going to go too deep into the.
But this is actually like a very high scoring game. Probably the highest total scoring game in projections. Who do you got? This is where you can test that.
So here's
look at his lineup. You can see the 3 studs, and then everything else is hot garbage.
Well, Christian McCaffrey is playing against the Raiders.
Yeah,
he's gonna have a big day.
Huge
Tyreek
day.
Hill's gonna play against Houston. Gonna have a big day.
Yeah, it's gonna be a shootout.
George Kittle against Arizona. He's gonna have a big day.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton against Tennessee. Taylor Lockett against Atlanta. Devin Singletary against the Jets is really beneficial. The Jets defense. Deshaun Watson gets Kansas City.
Can I ask, what does Windows team name mean? I don't get it.
I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a play on his kicker's name.
Well, I get that, but like, who here?
I don't know. Hey, Window. Once you see this, like this is towards the end of the podcast, so you'll have to have listened.
I'm sure he'll listen to
an hour and 20 minutes.
More than that with the stuff we recorded previously.
So once you get this in here, you need to tell us what the fuck that means.
I'm sure he'll listen and respond to this.
I mean, I hope so. Just comment.
Put a slap bet on that.
Comment down below what the fuck your team name means. I think I'm gonna go with Windows team in week 1 though. I really like the matchups for his big 3. So.
Window what is he? The Miami Heat. He has the big 3 now.
He has the big 3.
I will also. I had Window on my bottom 3.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
I'm going James.
Like you can think that the person's gonna be bad over the course of a season, but if they have one really good week 1 matchups, it just works out for them.
No, I'm going James.
All right, you go James. Did we agree on any? Well, you picked me to win. I think that's the only one we agreed on, is that you picked me to win.
Did I? I don't even remember.
I guess you have to go back and
we'll figure it out.
This.
We didn't agree on much.
No.
That's the week 1 podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll get more content out soon. Please feel free to create your own content, obviously. And I'll get this uploaded tonight, hopefully.
Also, throwing out an idea here. If you don't already have an Xbox, fucking get one. We can start a Madden League.
Madden franchise.
It'd be like really fucking dope if we can have like a 10-team Madden League. It would be awesome.
And could put our own players on our teams.
We could do that. I don't think we will.
Okay.
I mean, because, normally you're not going to have 8 wide receivers on a team
No, like as on a franchise, like you won't start 8 wide receivers, but like we'll put it so that you have those wide receivers. Like, you know, think about it this way: if my team has like Derrick Henry as the starting running back, Dak Prescott as the quarterback, then like Devontae Adams, Kenny Galladay, and OBJ as the top 3 receivers,
but like,
that would be pretty fucking cool.
But that's just it though. Like, I wouldn't be drafting a team that takes Ezekiel Elliott and Austin Eckler, like, and Miles Sanders. Like, I wouldn't do that. Like,
I get it.
It's like I feel like instead of Austin Eckler, I would be taking a lot of different wide receivers. Like,
we can figure it out.
Honestly, I feel like I'd be taking a lot more offensive linemen and defensive players.
Oh yeah, duh. Create your own content, have fun. Good luck in week 1, and that's it.
Also, I saw Jason posted a thing about a steak night. I'm just saying, I'd be down for it.
Steak is
if we want to try and get that rolling. I don't know if he was talking about trying to do it for week 1.
Yeah,
but
I'm down.
you got to remember we're 10 days out. If anybody is trying to watch the Thursday night opener next week, yeah, caddies.
I don't know about caddies.
I mean, why can't we do caddies? You're fucking working from home anyways.
Not all. I was in court today.
Are you in court on Friday mornings? No.
Most of the time, no.
No, you're not. So yeah, Thursday. Let's fit what?
What?
Thursdays. Think it would be a good idea. Let's opening game. It'd be cool if we can get a lot of people. If we need to do it someplace a little bit more central, let's fucking do that. I just know, like, obviously, me, Zach, and Window all live within 5 minutes of caddies.
Right.
Makes it convenient. Jason and Brad are obviously in Nova, like 20, 30 minutes away. I think actually right now, Bethesda's actually like pretty. I guess maybe Frederick's probably still the most central spot because of the Hagerstown guys.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like Frederick, or like if we could pick like an area in between like Frederick and DC would probably be perfect.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all here, neither here nor there. We'll figure it all out. But thank you guys for all being online in some capacity in the draft, and we'll get this league event sorted out. And yeah.
We'll get a poll together for like projected dates. Try to actually do some this year. I'd love to actually get another football game this season.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That was like a ton of fun when we did it. Not last year, but the year before. So
yeah. Pick a muddy day.
I don't think we need to do that. But
yeah, we do, because otherwise I won't be able to keep up. That's the only way I was able to keep up is the fact that everyone was slipping.
Weren't you the only one not wearing cleats?
No, I was wearing cleats. I thought. Maybe I wasn't. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I was in concussion protocol. All right. Later, guys. Hope you enjoyed.